Diana has been quite busy. She's teamed up with Batman twice now. Once on an investigation where she was possessed, and another time where she tries to help him cure his friend, Killer Croc. But now it's time for Diana to fix her own problems. As we go a bit further back to issue number 14 of Absolute Wonder Woman, where she first met Absolute Zatanna. See, Diana was going through it, fighting a being of pure energy, and after she passed out from this battle, Zatanna snuck up on her, said a few words, and hit her with a magical spell, binding the two together. And before Diana could do anything about it, Zatanna left. So now it's time to find out what this spell actually did. What are Zatanna's plans for Wonder Woman? And what's next for the magical abilities of our favorite goddess? Let's get into it. As we start once more in the past, with Circe playing with baby Diana, and out of nowhere a goddess rises from the water, instructing Circe to stay quiet, as she then picks up baby Diana, calling her her little gumdrop. And as she continues to play with her, she instructs Diana to wake up. As it turns out, our goddess was dreaming, and this mysterious goddess that rose from the water was Aphrodite herself. Now Diana knows something is coming. As she goes back to her home, where Ferdinand and Petra are still there waiting for her, and we learn that the last of the maze refugees have finally settled. The only ones left are Ferdinand and Petra, but she reassures them that they can stay there as long as they want. And with that being said, they settle in, going to make Steve Trevor some lunch because he has to go to a Senate hearing. And this Senate hearing is about the battle between Diana and the Tetracide on the beach. The government has issue with Steve Trevor following the orders of America and Wonder Woman because she is of course a foreign immigrant. As Steve begins to explain his actions, "I did what I always try to do, sir, serve and protect the American people. There was only one person on that beach who understood what was going on, and I did my best to help her solve the problem. Despite the insanity of that day, we didn't lose a single civilian or single soldier. Without Wonder Woman, I think it's a very different story today." As they question the name Wonder Woman, but Steve lets them know. She has many names, Senator White, but Gateway City seems to have embraced that one, and since this is about the Gateway City events, it seemed appropriate. They want to talk about her other names, Princess of Hell, Witch of the Wild Isle. And Steve sees no point in this. "You'd like paperwork on the name Princess of Hell, Senator?" But the senator tells him that's the point. But let's get back to the day in question, shall we? "You disobeyed direct orders from your superior officer," and Trevor denies this. "No, I might have had he given me any, but he did not. In his wisdom, I believe he determined that Diana had a better handle on things than we did. I'll remind you, she had just defeated a building-sized monster and all its minions. There was excellent evidence that she was exactly the solution we were desperate for. Following the Gateway City events, I proposed myself as a liaison between Diana and the US military." As the senator tells him, "I've heard of no such position." But Steve continues, "Because this government insists on seeing Diana as little more than a weapon, I almost immediately recused myself from the position I had created, Senator. I then resigned my commission. No man can truthfully serve two masters, and if the US government wishes to oppose Wonder Woman, then they are on the wrong side of history, and I'll be on the correct side of it, where Diana will also always be. I have tried my whole life to be allied with justice. If the United States of America is against Wonder Woman, then in my view, it is no longer on the side of justice. If you want to speak to me again, Senator, you'll need a subpoena," as he walks away. Steve is doing exactly what Lois and Jimmy did for Superman. Despite their established beliefs, they realize there's only one real right side to all of this. For them, it was Superman, and for him, it's Wonder Woman. And he's willing to give everything up to follow her into battle, to do what he knows is the right thing. So with Steve making his stance crystal clear, we pick back up in Area 41. And once again, Kale is doing something very nefarious, as it looks like she has one of the fishmen, or in this case, one of the fish women, as she's implanting a parasite in the back of her neck. And this parasite kind of looks like a more gross version of Starro. But either way, her employee lets her know, "You understand you won't have control of them, right? I only asked because if you're deploying them in areas with civilians," but Kale cuts him off and lets him know she's well aware of the risks. "The parasite is not about mind control. It's a cudgel to beat them to death with if they deviate too far from our goal. The parasite will degrade quickly if they don't return. A death sentence. And of course, we could speed that process up if necessary. Fear. Fear is the lever." As this employee continues to question Kale, and if they're not afraid, they will be. The Wonder Woman is many things, but I am much scarier. But the employee is not backing down. Why tonight? All those civilians. People are bound to get hurt, even in success. But Kale makes a good point. "Alberts, do you even know where you work? This event is the point. Kill her, yes, of course. Priority number one. But there are many horrible stops on the way to her defeat and untimely death, and destroying her good name is one of the best. But if that's too dark for you, it's not the worst thing in the world to show this the city that she is not what she pretends, that she endangers them all just with her existence, let alone her actions. Also, that new museum wing is a monstrosity. Make sure they're all ready to go by ribbon cutting time. So Kale's got a plan to not only kill Diana, but destroy her good name with some makeshift team she's creating and forcing to do her bidding with parasites in the back of their neck. And while Kale is preparing her evil schemes, it's time for the event she plans on ruining, as Diana finally shows up at the Gateway City Natural History Museum, looking as fine as ever, and everyone is so happy to see her and Pegasus as she meets Barbara, and it is officially time for the ribbon cutting. And once Diana cuts the ribbon, she sees just how much everyone loves her, as she thinks to herself, the adoration is dangerous, the power in it, the temptation is palpable. One thing I love about Diana is she's not only honest to everyone else, but she's honest with herself too. Even she can be tempted with power, as she towers over everyone looking for her friends, and Barbara lets her know they're already inside. As Barbara tells her, we have an incredible collection I've been building for years, but until you showed up, I could never convince the board anyone would be interested in it. And boy has that perspective changed since you arrived, as we see just how popular this museum is, with these beautiful statues. As Diana lets her know, short of my time with Io, it's the closest I've ever felt to my lost Themyscirian home, as she thanks Barbara for everything. And finally, Steve shows up congratulating Barbara, as Barbara congratulates him back on the Senate hearing. And now the three of them start taking a look at some of the items in the museum. As Diana says, this doesn't feel Greek, but it seems familiar somehow, and Barbara lets her know these are the fishmen she ran into in the maze, although she calls them menfish. And she continues to explain, we think they might be the kappa of Japanese legends, sometimes called Pacific Kappa. We even have a depiction of their queen, and this is all starting to bore Steve as he's drinking all of his champagne and wants to go get more. But something's wrong, as Diana then drops hers and passes out. And now we go back to the past, before all of this on the Wild Isle, while Diana is training with yet another goddess. You're not fast enough for that move, Diana, and she responds with a we'll see, as she does a backflip and she proves she is fast enough. But something is bothering Diana. She wants to know why someone doesn't come see her anymore. And the goddess wants to know who Diana is talking about, and demands Diana keep her form up if she insists on talking. And although Diana listens and continues to train, this is really bothering her, dropping her form again, continuing to ask. But the goddess is not giving her the answer she desires, so she says, will you answer my question if I beat you? And this is a deal, as she drops her weapon and transforms into a glowing chimera. And this is so insane, Diana actually curses as she gets smacked away. And this does some serious damage. She even gets bit by the snake tail. But none of this is enough to stop Diana, as she uses the tail to pull the chimera close. And they both begin to brutalize each other. Punches, kicks, slashes, bites. It is a full-on melee. Knock down, drag out, anything to win. And of course, Diana does. The day is mine. I want my answer. As the goddess tells her, a bad winner is worse than a bad loser, Diana. And we learn this goddess is Artemis, as she says, what do you know of losing, Artemis? And saying her name clearly bothers the goddess, as Diana once again asks her question. Why doesn't she come to me? And finally, Artemis gives her the answer. I honestly can't believe you're wasting your question on it. Perhaps she does not come because you have nothing more to learn from her. But Diana doesn't believe this. That doesn't make sense. One of my earliest memories is her making quite clear that love is more powerful than anything on Earth and more dangerous. Something Artemis completely brushes off. And Diana sees she doesn't agree. As Artemis explains, of course not. Each of us thinks themselves best, most dangerous, most whatever. You cannot trust us on this. As Diana says, that seems true, but so does what she said. And this is really getting Diana down, and Artemis wants to know why this is bothering her so much. As Diana says, I feel unprepared, and I just miss her. None of you ever tell me anything real. And Artemis lets her know, that's not true. Well, it's not entirely true. And I just gotta say, I love this design of Artemis. I've never seen the goddess depicted this way. She is beautiful. And this dream ends the same way her dream ended at the beginning of this issue, Aphrodite telling her to wake up. And last time this happened, Diana knew something bad was coming, as she is now fully awake with everyone surrounding her and Barbara sitting over her. And Barbara lets Diana know she wasn't out very long. You barely hit the floor, you just sort of crumpled, but you never crumple. Are you alright? As Diana reassures her, but she thinks to herself, something has happened. There's something slightly wrong. It's my magic. I can't access it. But my arm, if I was really cut off from my magic, I think it would disappear. But it's here, and it feels fine. What does that mean? And everyone is still trying to figure out what happened to Diana as she continues to think to herself, something very bad is about to happen. Steve, get Barbara out of here. Etta and Gia too, if you can find them. And Diana thinks to herself, whatever this is, it must be connected to my magic seizing up. But who could? And once again, Zatanna shows up flirting with Diana, and she says, good to see you on this plane of existence. I'm Zatanna, and this is the Suicide Squad. We got who I'm assuming is Giganta, Zatanna herself, Dr. Poison, Cheetah, who I'm surprised to see because I thought Barbara would become Cheetah, but I guess we'll have to wait and see, and the fish person turns out to be the queen of the fishmen, something Barbara brought up earlier in the night. This is the team that's supposed to kill Diana, and she can't believe what she's seeing as she thinks to herself, what was it she said before? As she recalls the spell that was cast on her back in issue number 14. And now she realizes it's backwards. I bind you to me while in my presence. Your voice is mine alone. She bound my magic to her. She controls my magic now. And Zatanna can tell Diana has figured it out. As she says, she's underestimated you, but I haven't. As they are now face to face, and she continues, I wonder what we should do with your magic first. And this is the end of the issue. One of the most powerful things about Diana has been taken by Zatanna. I definitely want to see how my goat is going to get out of this, but I do hope you guys enjoyed the issue. I think it was really good, and I like how much Zatanna keeps flirting with Diana. I wonder where that's gonna go, but either way, I'll catch you guys on the next one.